The WNBA is getting smacked around from all sides. Welcome back to the channel. Thank you so much for being here. Appreciate all your support. Hope you're having a fantastic day. Shout out, of course, to the 19. Will Caitlin Clark abandon the WNBA and go play in Saudi Arabia? Yes, that is correct. Saudi Arabia. Now, people have probably heard a lot about LeBron James in a Saudi Arabian league on the men's side. There's a women's as well. Rumor has it LeBron is no longer involved and that the focus right now is on the women's league because of the growth of women's sports. And this is another problem for the WNBA. Now, apparently, the league, let me make sure I have this right, November, right? November to April. So technically, it will not conflict with the WNBA. It definitely will conflict with Unrivaled. However, regarding the WNBA, who is going to want to play year round, right? That's not a good idea for anybody's career. It's enough that they play overseas and in the WNBA, but when you combine that, it's probably not much different than an NBA season. But we all know that the WNBA season just ended. And here we are in October. Saudi Arabian League would start in November. Now, I believe it's November of 2026. So not this season. It would start next November, go into April, and then you jump in to another WNBA season. So basically, if you were to play in the WNBA and in this new league, you would not get a break. The other things, however, apparently, rumor has it, they have stated that they're talking to players already. They have already signed WNBA players to play in this league. So will those players abandon the WNBA? You also have the timing again, the collective bargaining agreement with the WNBA and that being negotiated, and you've got Unrivaled being a competitor in there, and you've got unfortunately Nafisa Collier and Brianna Stewart, founders of Unrivaled, but they're also negotiating on behalf of the players for the collective bargaining agreement with the WNBA. And now you have big money starting up a Saudi Arabian league for the women's game that it apparently has already signed WNBA players. Now, this wouldn't start until fall of 2026. So the WNBA would have one more season going forward here. Of course, then there is the matter of money, which we all know has been a big deal with the WNBA. I don't know how true this is, but rumor has it could offer players up to $50 million. But think about this, even if they're offering players one, two, $5 million, I shouldn't say only, but compared to their WNBA salaries, that is a lot of money. If you were offered, and you've got a lot of other talent as well from around the world and also from the WNBA, to go play in a league where you're going to get paid one, two, five, $10 million, not what you're going to get paid in Unrivaled, which of course is still better, but we're talking significant amounts of money, life-changing money, money that if you only play a year or two and you're smart about it, you never have to work again. Would you rather go do that, or do you want to stay and play in the WNBA? And of course, the big question is, will Caitlin Clark be one of those players? Does Caitlin Clark realize how unappreciated she is in the WNBA? Does she realize how much leverage she has? Now, I know because of her being such a fan of the league as a kid and looking up to players like Maya Moore, and I know how she feels about Cheryl Miller and so forth. And we've talked about how early in her rookie season last year, she was behind the scenes. She was trying to get players paid bonuses because of all the attendance and all the people going to games because of Caitlin Clark, and she wanted to share that wealth, so to speak. So we know that the WNBA has an important place in Caitlin Clark's heart, but there also is the reality of the situation for players. It's just like star athletes who are maybe in one city on one team, one franchise for a long time, and they love it, and their experience is fantastic. And then it gets to a point where because of age and the the plan for the team in terms of maybe they're in a rebuild and they can't put out extra money for a star that is on the decline, and someone's been there someplace a decade and now they go finish out their career somewhere else. They may not want to, they may not love it, but it's kind of what dictates the situation. And Caitlin Clark may find that out herself in talking to other people, and she may take a step back and say, hey, you know what, the WNBA has not been good to me. The WNBA has not appreciated me. I need to take a step back, and even if it's only temporary, do what is best for Caitlin Clark, not subjugate Caitlin Clark to what is best for the WNBA. The WNBA, unfortunately, had all this time to realize and understand that what was best for it was what was best for Caitlin Clark, and jumping on that train and appreciating her and promoting her and making sure Kathy Engelbert that players weren't trying to maim her and get her out of the league, that players weren't attacking her fans constantly, that players weren't making false accusations about things that her fans were doing or saying, maybe not investigating her fans after the first game because the Indiana Fever spanked the Chicago Sky and Angel Reese so unbelievably bad that they were completely embarrassed to where they had to make up stories about what the fans, as we all know now, did not say about other players such as Angel Reese. We have Alyssa Thomas and on and on and on. And I want a couple things I want to mention on here. So I'm looking at this on my my tablet. This is interesting. You know, like I said, it talks about not conflicting directly with the league with the WNBA. And as I said previously, WNBA is basically what, early May to October, and then this league's November to April. If you're getting paid tons of money to play in this league, do you really then want to play in the WNBA and have no break? I don't think you're going to have a very long career doing that. Now, granted, some players may do it for a season or possibly two if they're getting that kind of money, right? If the league offers the WNBA players, say, hey, we'll pay you 3.5 million a year for on a 2 year contract. Maybe you do it for 2 years and then you stick to the WNBA. You get $7 million in those 2 years where you're playing year round. Obviously, do a very careful job of taking care of yourself. And then from there on, you play in the WNBA. Of course, the other thing is both for Unrivaled, but now also for this league, is there is no WNBA season in 2026. You'll get Unrivaled, then no WNBA. Then you get the Saudi Arabian League that will start in November and will have WNBA players who will be getting paid a lot of money. What does that mean for negotiations for the WNBA? Now, I believe this is also only a six-team league as well. Let me make sure. I think it's maybe the next one. Yeah, here we go. It's also got big money in it. I want to say it's big money. We've got Google, Facebook, and Skype money involved in this. And this is what Burnett said. He's a Facebook executive. It's set to begin with the women's knock my camera over. And they give an example. If the new league offers Angel Reese 50 million per year, it might require her to be exclusive to it and not play in the WNBA. Project B, which is this league, will employ 66 players, and if they increase salaries 10 times, which would be extremely low given the Saudi fund, how will players to make 150K in the WNBA down 1.5 million? Right, and I just said 3.5, 1.5, or in the case of someone like Paige Beckers, who will make under 100K her first 4 years in the league, how could she turn down 10 million, 20 million? What does this mean for Unrivaled? Will players really want to be in Asia for 6 months of the also, again, if you are making that kind of money, if you are making seven figures for a season of basketball, are you playing in the WNBA? Right? See, there's the other thing. And again, it's exclusive. And I know they said about going for Asia 6 months of the year, but let me ask you, if you could go to a great league that treats you well, that pays you well, that has competitiveness in it, because you're going to have other WNBA players, are you going to spend? I mean, you look at what athletes do other in other sports. You look at even a better example than what in the U.S. because it is a lot of Americans in it. Let's look at soccer, for example, being a global sport. You look at the English Premier League. A lot of those players are not from England, right? That's what professional athletes do. Messi's in MLS now, but before that, he played it. He played it in Barcelona, and then he played in in La Liga, and then he played in for PSG in League One in France. So this is not unheard of for athletes. It may be unheard of for women's basketball, but it's not unheard of in sports where you're away, or even if you're an American and you're playing like a sport of baseball and how often you're on the road, or even basketball and how much you're on the road, even though you're in your own country. So would you play 6 months out of the year overseas to make life-changing money? Yeah, right? I mean, most would. So that's the question. So the question here comes when they look at those salaries, what is Caitlin Clark going to do if she gets offered 10 million a season, 20 million a season? That could change so many things. So it's going to be really interesting, man. I think she has to be tempted by this with this kind of money. This is not unrivaled money. This is not $1 million to play unrivaled, not when it's Caitlin Clark. So anyway, let me know your thoughts in the comments below. Appreciate you checking out this video. As always, do me a favor, smash the like button, subscribe to the channel. You know the drill. Go have the day you deserve. I'll talk to you later.